I quit LA Fitness, and I still had like 6 months of schooling to do.
The old school ones, they'll say, oh, my clients are not on social.
Bro, this is not what they told me when I was back home.
Success After Dark, Season 2.
Welcome back to Success After Dark. We got a special guest in the house today. Thank you, Rakan, for co-hosting today. We have Andrew Perry in the house. You might have seen him on social media. Very famous, popular real estate figure on social media. Has a successful real estate game going on. I'll let him explain what we got going on here today. Andrew, how are you today?
I'm great, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Thank
you. Know what? I'm glad I thought you brought these out, and I thought you were going to call me Pierre for a moment.
It doesn't. Well, short for Perry is short for Perry, you know.
Yeah, of course.
There you go.
Family owned.
Sponsored.
No, I get Pierre, I get Perrier, I get it all.
Yeah.
Especially,
So that's how you afforded real estate here. Is the
exactly. It's
yes.
the only way
The
we can
family
afford
business,
real
right?
estate in the GTA. Exactly.
Sounds good. So Andrew, tell us how we had a brief chat before the podcast. You've been in the real estate game now seriously for 7 years.
Yeah.
Is that since licensing?
Since I've been licensed.
Since you've been licensed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what did you do before that?
I really knew nothing about real estate before that. I was selling gym memberships for LA Fitness.
Oh, LA.
Yeah,
I used to
so-
work for Good Life.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
Which LA?
What do you call it? East Gwillimbury, so
This is-
Newmarket.
We're talking Newmarket, okay.
And then I moved to Niagara Falls to open my own club for them as their GM.
Really?
And then I moved out
That's awesome.
west to Edmonton to work on a couple of their clubs. Yeah.
There was a big fight between Good Life and
Oh
LA.
my God, all the
Crazy.
time.
But Good Life has always won. I'm biased to Good Life because I worked there. 400 locations in Canada going strong. But between GMs especially and divisional managers, they used to offer Good Life would offer something and then LA would come back at something and who would put
Yeah.
up more money for GM? This is crazy. How much was GM getting paid? Well, I'm guessing back in the days.
Well, so I was salary plus commission.
Plus commissions,
And
yeah.
the commission was way more
Higher
than
than
the
the salary,
salary.
for
was
sure.
nothing.
The commission
So-
is based on the club targets, right?
Yeah,
it's
bonuses,
not personal commission. Bonuses,
right? Bonuses.
Team sales.
Team
Yeah, team
sales.
sales, of course, yeah.
Retention, those kind of things.
Okay.
So, man.
Do you think they crossed 100?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first year I was like at 110. And then my second year I was like 140 or 50 or something.
So what made you what triggered real estate?
I just needed something, what was going to pay me more per unit? And it was like, what, are we going to go into car sales? I mean, I could.
Yeah.
I looked into it, but then you needed to write a test, and I was like, just for cars? So then, to get your Ontario certification or whatever.
yeah.
So then I was like, wow, okay, real estate. I knew a few people that got into real estate.
Okay.
And again, I've said this before, this is no offense to them. This
Yeah.
is kind of an offense to me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if they could do it, I can.
I
do it.
can, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, and I did, and I could, and I called them.
Okay.
And I said, what do you think? I was, I'm thinking about quitting my job. For the first time in my life, I'm actually making money. I was in the music industry. I was a bar star, for
Really?
so long.
Okay.
Long time. And, I was like, what the hell? How am I going to do this? And they just said, it's your personality. That's all you need. I was like, okay, fine. And then next thing you know, crushed what I was making in my first year of real estate with the
First year.
my entire time. Yeah.
What year was this?
2016 is when I got licensed, but it was in November, December, so I don't count it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just
yeah.
tell everybody I
2017.
started January 1st, 2017.
Nice.
So 7 years come January.
Yeah. That's awesome. I like that.
So you came in with some sales experience.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming in that started their sales journey at the gym.
I mean, because you gotta overcome all these objections.
Yeah, you
and
learn-
it's
you-
$50
yeah.
bucks a
Talk-
month. It's not even a lot of money.
And you're talking to what?
Dude, LA
50
Fitness
people a
was
day?
$29.99, and when it went up to $34.99, people in Niagara Falls were like, "No way!" I'm like, "Well, what are you paying? What are you paying right now?"
Yeah.
Look, like $80.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Where?"
Oh, yeah.
Gym over here. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
gym's shit.
LA Fitness has a basketball court, sauna, pool,
Yeah.
jacuzzi, two
Look,
floors.
LA
Yes.
does do it well.
Yeah.
I'll give them
The
one.
bang
Yes.
for the buck.
Yeah.
Because
Good Life was always more like a
big LA Fitness
family
fan, yeah.
family gym
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than like an LA where you can actually lift and stuff.
Yeah.
but I
So-
guess yeah.
So, you guys know Patrick Bet-David?
Yeah, of course.
So he started at Bally's,
Yeah.
and Bally's got bought out by LA Fitness.
By
LA Fitness.
sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty
The
sure.
location that I worked at was at Bally's, and it was bought by LA.
Yeah, that's what I said.
By Good
No,
Life.
sorry, by Good Life. By Good Life. It was the Bally's bought out by Good Life.
I'm pretty
Did they
sure
buy
LA
Bally's
Fitness
in
bought it.
America?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure they bought it out. I could be fact checked.
Yeah.
So, anyways, when I was going through, I was reading his book, Patrick Bet-David, and I was like, holy shit. I'm like,
You're next.
everything this guy, because here's what happened. I went to Fort Lauderdale with the Spark Financial Boys.
Okay.
And we met a good friend of mine, Brady Thrasher, out there. And, Brady was like, we just finished up dinner. We're navigating this new market. And Brady's like, hey, what are you doing right now? I'm like, we're eating with you? Like, what do you mean? He's like, want to go see Valuetainment? This is at like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, shit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get in there, we're waiting out front. We're all super pumped. We end up getting into Valuetainment, getting to the back cigar lounge of Patrick Bet-David. So
This
all
is recent talk.
Yeah, this is like
Yeah,
in
'cause
June.
they just
And-
opened it up.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So you can see in a couple of his latest Instagram videos where
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
actually sitting in the chair that I was sitting in. I just
Oh,
shared it to my story
wow.
too. So if that wasn't fucking cool enough,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
all their sales team shows up. And I'm not talking 2 people.
Yeah.
I'm talking I think there was 6 or maybe even 10 people. Some people were having dinner with their families. They dropped everything, came to meet, new potential prospects.
Yeah.
Right? And as soon as they came in, I'm like, man, these guys are very hospitable. And then they start talking. And I'm like, man, these guys are very articulate. They're explaining. And then I noticed what was going on. And it was a beautiful thing to
Smart.
me. It was a beautiful thing to me.
Are they
and the
selling-
reason why is because they start using these trigger words. And they use the word TO. So in the gym industry or the car industry, they do. I'm not selling it short, by the way, because we do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's called a takeover. So it's like, and you would recognize it from movies or TV shows. I'll have to ask my manager, and then the manager, the used car sales guy comes in. But in the gym industry, this is where he learned it from Bally's, and this is where I learned it from LA Fitness. And with their team, it's a stronger together approach. So it has nothing to do with I can't close you and I'm trying to close you, so I'm going to get this guy to come in and close you. It's like, hey, here's my expertise, here's their expertise, here's, and maybe we'll find a connection. So imagine you have 10 people that you're just talking with, and I've had many follow-up calls with them since that day.
So, question for you: was that the course that they're selling? Not the course. It's a mastermind that they're selling.
Yeah, so,
I think it was like
essentially,
$15,000
I'm going to tell you the honest to gosh truth, and I hope Patrick doesn't get them in trouble for it. They were never selling me on all those calls. They were trying to help my business. And what it was for was like, hey, if you want to come to the vaults, here's all the value that it's going to bring. Here's the discount for the
they're
ticket.
selling the event. Okay, selling the vault event.
Obviously, they talked about how they could help.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's just what they did in how they learned from Patrick and what he learned from Bally's is the same thing as my
Very
story.
smart.
So
I love that.
what I did in terms of how I built my business, I don't know if it worked like this at Good Life, but what happened is you have a sales manager, which is the GM, and you have a director of ops, which is somebody who takes care of the janitors, the day to day. Do we have enough toilet paper?
Yeah.
I took that exact same approach and put it into my business by year 3.
Yeah.
And by year 3, everybody was like, okay, you're making 400K, but you're paying 50, 60 for a director of ops, then you're going to pay 5% for sales of total gross sales to a VP of sales. Like, why are you doing that? I'm like, just watch. In 2 or 3 years, we'll be number 1. Yeah. Right now, we're number 2. We just have a few more mil to go, and we'll be number 1 by the end of the year.
Wow.
So it's just one of those things where it's like they teach you how to structure your business. And that's why, what you said, why people come from the gym industry and have successful real estate
It's a $1
careers.
billion business. Gyms are majority. The big gyms are. LA is a multi-billion-dollar company. Good Life, multi-billion-dollar company. Like these guys. Yeah. I remember even the sales structure. How many leads to get how many calls to get how many leads to get how many people to show up, and they write it down and they have a book for it.
Yes.
It's just they so you come from that industry. You need to know. Like I've learned so much from Good Life, but
I think it qualifies you for bigger things.
For sure.
Because if you're dealing with, you're talking to 100 people a day trying to sell them something for $50, then you only have to talk to a couple of people a day to sell them something a lot bigger.
Yeah.
But you get all the skills from the
And then you
volume.
get so much as a salesperson. You get so much rejection for a small price that eventually like sales. I know is no longer like it's like well I expected this.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
how'd that switch go from LA Fitness general manager to real estate?
So
you just
And then owning your own team.
I took time to build the business plan from when I left because I quit LA Fitness, and I still had like 6 months of schooling to do.
oh wow.
Real estate.
So so we packed up, we moved to Edmonton.
So you haven't made a real estate sale yet.
No,
He can't. I
No,
don't think you,
no, you
license.
can't.
without
You need a
a license. Yeah.
So I quit. I moved from Edmonton to Ontario.
Yeah.
Okay.
I take that time traveling, meeting entrepreneurs, writing about the conversations that I was having. I was posting it on LinkedIn. I was taking their audio clips. Podcasts were a thing, but I didn't really know about them. There's just that weird app on your iPhone that nobody touched, right? I mean, Joe Rogan must have been on there. And I was just recording it and then putting in the audio up on the internet. And so from there, by the time I was ready to launch, I was ready to launch. And video marketing wasn't that big yet. So I put out a couple of videos. I wouldn't say they went viral, but 60,000, views in the first week.
Wow.
And it was something that realtors, because at that time in Niagara, it was still like a, fairly, what's the word? Like country town, small town, right? Where, nobody puts themselves out there like
I
that,
see
right?
that.
It was kind of like, a plumber or an electrician or a handyman. Right? A realtor wasn't this big powerhouse of a brand. And then I come in and everybody's like, look at this fucking guy. Like, geez, you know what I mean? And then next thing you know, I'm switching brokerages because it was an old school mentality, found Revel. And then Revel was just go do whatever you want. I'm like, I want to open offices. It's like, buddy, you're only in 12 months in the business, but let's go. Let's do it. Then fast forward to my third year, had my first office. And then that year started building out the team. It fucking crashed. Like it failed miserably.
Really?
Like it to the point where, because I'm very loud.
Yeah.
I'm very loud, especially on social media. I'm like, this is
yeah.
what I'm doing. Welcome. Congratulations, you just made the Finest Eights team, blah, blah, blah. And then next thing you know, boom, everybody quits within 3 months.
Why?
Because I had no fucking clue what I was doing. I had no clue what I was doing. I thought I knew from a marketing standpoint what I was doing and how to lay it all out. But what I didn't know was I knew sales training.
Yeah.
But I wasn't getting any leads. I didn't know how to properly assess or qualify. I didn't know how to. There was no structure. There was no processes or systems, and so it just all literally blew up super quick. Like one guy left a brokerage to come work with me. Two people. One guy had, he had buddies in other brokerages, and no, I want to stay with you. It was like fucking Jerry Maguire. If Jerry Maguire had not, been successful when he left, and it was blew up in my face. So the embarrassment was
interesting,
was terrible.
So what you do after that?
I actually, although when I say
how'd you overcome?
When I say embarrassing. I wasn't actually embarrassed, but the situation could be embarrassing.
Yeah. Okay.
And so for me, I was just like, holy shit. Now I know what not to do. So I started restructuring the team, hired out a licensed assistant first to help handle all of my extra business that I couldn't handle, help build out the systems. Then I added on an overflow buyer's agent as opposed to an official. So it's like almost an independent contractor as opposed to like an official employee.
Yeah.
And then now they're all, we started with one and now we have 12 and we're bringing on new people. It seems like almost every month now, which is great.
That's awesome.
But we're building out other markets too. So how did I get how did I start this team? It was through the implosion of my other team, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. And has anybody that from the implosion from the old team come back years later when they see you on all these podcasts and doing all these big things? Or
it's
what?
funny you say that. We just brought back one of our guys, Charlie, who left. I'm sorry, I'm dropping him. Who left? No, and this is a good lesson because he did everything that I did. He's like, I went searching after I left. The big band brokerage, big brand, in search for something. I just lucked out and found something better.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when he went, he didn't find anything better. And again, he did. This is why I love the guy so much, is because he's exactly me.
Yeah.
He did things that I would have done. Some people get lucky, some people don't. And so, yeah. And then another guy who was on that team that imploded, you know, he's reaching out like, man, I can't believe how big you guys are now. But it's all love, right? It's, you know.
Yeah.
I seen you won an award for social media in 2020.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about the social media award for the Niagara Association of Realtors is it has to be voted on by your peers.
Ah,
So it's like another marketing company saying, okay, these guys are the
these
best.
guys are best. Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Wow, that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
I was blessed. I mean, I lost Rookie of the Year, but I mean, I got a social media award, I guess.
I mean, you would expect like some 19-year-old girl to win like
I don't think there's 19-year-old girl realtors in
what I'm
Niagara,
saying.
bro.
So Andrew came in ready.
There is.
Yeah.
You came in ready. You think all the sales experience helped you with the real estate game when you finally got into it?
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah. Well, here's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is everything that LA Fitness taught me and what Good Life would teach you,
Yeah.
I took that. I took the psychology and the structure of a conversation, but I was always good because I had some of that in me already. But I could approach people. It's not like, hey, would you agree? Yes or no? Would you agree? Yes or no? That bald guy on Instagram, I watch him all the time. What is his name? Elliot? Anyways. But it's not that
Andy Elliott, yeah.
he's amazing. But it's not that American way,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. That's such an American way,
to
bro.
talk people into it.
That would never
That's
work in
not what I'm
Canada.
saying. I'm like, what are your goals? Why are you even here? Okay, well, I want to lose weight. Well, how much weight do you want to lose? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, let's start assessing your fitness journey
that's the
right now.
Canadian
Like,
way.
what's going on? Well, like I'm not working out right now. Well, look, so why? Why do you even want this goal? And this is just how I don't fucking scream at people.
Yeah.
But I walk them around why their actual goal is important to them.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in real estate. And so that's what helped me huge. But I think the biggest thing is not necessarily the sales that they taught me, but the structure that they taught me.
Yeah.
Measuring your KPIs, like you're saying,
Yeah.
calls, appointments,
Appointments.
sales.
Sales. Yeah.
And so that's basically what I do, because now I can sit down with a new agent or a veteran agent and I can walk them through that business plan, and now it makes sense.
Yeah.
And so one thing that I did take from them is that every morning at 8 a.m., we all have an accountability check-in. So you need to tell me how many appointments you have for that day, how many appointments you've booked. And then at 4 p.m., we check in again, say, how did those appointments go? And what do you have set up for tomorrow? Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that
Do you
works.
think you talked about sales? Do you think salespeople are? You said you had it in you, but do you think salespeople are born?
I think yes and no. I think it's the thing is that people aren't very, they're not searching for opportunities.
Yeah.
They're searching for that conversion right now. Whereas once you get to a point where you don't have to worry about if I'm going to close you today, like I don't care if I close you today because I got 10 other appointments. And so once you get to that level and that mindset, you can't, some people are born with it, but it's something that you kind of have to learn. Because if you're just waiting for that's a scarcity mindset, in my opinion.
Of course.
It's transactional mindset, because you're going to get to a point where like, fuck, I haven't closed anybody now. And where I am is like, okay, I didn't close you today, but I've set you up for this.
Okay, I see.
So then eventually it all lines up where
lines
every
up,
single
yeah.
day I have people wanting to buy
I love
because
that.
they've been in my pipeline for so long.
Pipeline game.
We talked off camera about this penthouse in Grimsby that I was
Yeah.
listing. I listed it and I showed it. That lead came to me at an open house 5 years ago.
Whoa.
For the first few months, I followed up aggressively for every week, if not daily. And, we talk cars. He drove a Mercedes. I drive a
Yeah.
Mercedes. We talk cars. We talk lakefront properties, boats, golf, And then after a couple of years, I was emailing him maybe once a month. It's just part of my follow-up. The odd time, I'd even send him a text. He's an older guy, but he still texts. And then he calls me up, and I'm sitting at lunch, and I'm sitting with other clients, by the way. I see his phone. I'm like, I fucking know what this is. 5 years in the making. I'm like, Larry, how are you? He's like, you remember me? I'm like, Unit 10, 19 Lake Street. And you could check this. We just listed it. And by the time this pod comes, it will be sold. We have an offer on it. And he's like, holy shit, how did you remember that? I'm like, buddy, I've been working on you for 5 years. You think I'm going to forget about you? Holy smokes. And then we're in the listing presentation. I brought my VP of sales and, and he basically just said, he's like, this guy has not stopped talking to me for 5 years. I never went to any of his events. I never showed up to a client party. I never called him back. I'd reply to his email every once in a while, but never called him back. And here we are. There's a nice commission check.
Interesting.
Talk about social media. So we talk about Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah.
He was in the life insurance game for a while. You might have known about that.
Yeah.
But then he, came up on social media, started the Valuetainment and all that media company.
Yeah.
I seen you, you and Patrick Bet-David didn't grow up with social media, but you made the conversion when you saw it was best fit, right?
Yep.
So talk about that, because I hear a lot of realtors, and Rakan, you know this too, is that realtors will say, the old school ones, they'll say, oh, my clients are not on social media.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that before.
I'm thinking, there's 2 billion people on Instagram. You would think that your clients are not on Instagram.
I heard that before.
On Instagram? Or is it they're not on Instagram, or are you just not posting on Instagram so you don't know you have potential clients on Instagram? So talk about that. Why did you just want to get on social media to talk, or was it back in the day for business? And you saw the opportunity there.
Yeah, so there definitely saw the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because I was always watching what other people were doing in New York or LA or Florida. Like I was
So like Ryan Serhant and
exactly.
Yes,
And Grant Cardone was
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
right? So I was watching what he was doing. And as a kid, I always loved to record myself and watch it back. I thought that was so cool. And I skateboard. So I was looking at myself doing tricks. I'm like, shit, that was good. Or that was shit. I would love to redo it. And then I'm like, as soon as I got into a professional mode, I'm like here's a funny thing you guys can do is go to my YouTube and just go right to the first couple of videos. You'll see me with my guitar singing bullshit songs. And then the next sales stuff, I was sales training. I was 40, 50 pounds heavier. I shaved my face because at LA Fitness, you had to shave your face.
I don't even know that.
Yeah, everybody had to shave their face until then people were getting sued because religions and shit that, right?
Yeah.
And plus, every time I saw my VP walk in, I had to run, dry shave, and I'd come out fucking bleeding. And it's thank God, right? So, anyways, I'm in a tie, and I have a suit, and I'm going like this, and I'm sales training, and I'm just go watch it back if you don't think I'm lying. If you think I'm lying, and it was just so uncomfortable to watch. So by the time I got into real estate, I'm okay, these videos performed like shit.
Yeah.
So how can we create more of a personality, or more of my own personality, as opposed to this Grant Cardone guy who I just invented? And it just worked because nobody was doing it. If there was one other person, Emily Berry, who's also at our brokerage, she was the only person who was doing actual videos. Hey, welcome to 123 Main Street. But that's kind of all it was.
Yeah.
So I said, why don't we rent a Tesla, and, we'll pull up into a winery, and, we'll cheers, and we'll create videos like that. And the first video comes back. It's okay, $3,000. I'm holy shit. Okay, let's not create videos like this all the time, but let's do it every once in a while. So I literally got a pilot. He flew. It's I don't know the plane, but it was a double winged plane, from the 50s.
Yeah.
And he flew it, landed it, took the drone guy up, or the video guy, landed it. I hopped back in the Tesla. No, I hopped in the Tesla, came into the airport hangar, hopped in the plane. They filmed me getting out with my jacket going in. And that was one of my first videos. And they're holy shit, what is this guy doing? And then I was a big fake it till you make it guy.
Yeah.
A lot of people could see it. Some people were bought into it. And it led me to where I am today. But now I don't really wear collared shirts anymore. It's just not my style.
Yeah.
Wear stretchy jeans so I can eat whatever the hell I want. But videos my videos evolve. And now I don't put too much thought into them. It's just shit like this.
I love that.
It's more systematic
cool.
now, and it's not rehearsed, and it's just it's a flow game. Yeah.
The rehearsal of it all. I just finished wrapping. I was almost about to tell you the network. I'm not allowed to say the network, but I just filmed up with the national TV network, wrapping up an episode for one of their shows, and I was so nervous about it because I'm I haven't done line, I haven't done that stuff in a long time, right? I'm I'm like, can I just be me? And I was so worried. And they're like, no, do your thing. Like, take us through a property tour. You know, every once in a while, the director would say, no, that sounded stupid. Say something like this.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, it was great.
You were just
you know what I
you.
mean?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And so I was loving how when you get to a certain spot in your career, and you can choose what you want to do. And if I want to do things that are a little less structured, there's no lines, I'm just spitting facts or whatever, and people see that and they ask you to do things with them based on you. It's like nobody's going to call up Patrick Beck David and say, hey, can you pretend to be Grant Cardone
Yeah, of
or
course,
somebody?
of
You know what I'm
course.
saying?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Personal brand identity, all that stuff. How many realtors now are in Ontario? 90,000.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, right.
Too many.
Something like that.
That's
And
for sure.
Probably 91,000 by the time this drops. But do you think social media is required to stand out in that game? So I'll tell you personal experience. I bought pre-construction from a friend of mine, a buddy of mine from I knew a long time ago, but I seen him posting about it on social media
Yeah.
and actually being personal about it, not
Yeah.
just the old school way. So I thought it worked maybe for me, but then I see guys like you that are doing the social media game and it look like you're killing it. And then I hear about the old fashioned guys. Some of them are still, I can tell they're still successful, but then I hear people that are, they're complaining about the market situations and all that. And they're more reactive than proactive and they're not doing anything about it. So do you think social media is a necessary game in today's real estate market?
So 2 things to break down from that. Is it necessary?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. The biggest realtors in the game don't have social media. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they post it on there. Whatever. But having said that, will it exponentially help you grow? 100%. And so what you're saying about being reactive to the market, posting things like, it depends on how you're doing it. Is it really an educational? Can you sum it up with a positive at the end?
Okay.
Because the market's not crashing. There's thousands of buyers. There's no good market. There's no bad market. There's just
Right.
a market,
Just a
and,
market,
and how literally. So I send out emails every morning to my team, before 6 a.m. or whatever. And I said that exact line today. I said, there's no good markets. There's no bad at markets. There's your effort, your strong effort or no effort. There's no in between.
I love that.
And so where I see realtors going with this, and it's just their marketing style, and it's okay. It's just because they don't really want to take chances. Some people do funny stuff. I don't see the value in that.
Yeah.
I don't see what it does for your professional brand. It might introduce you to a different market or your market you already have.
Yeah.
But for me, it wasn't, I did it and I'm like, didn't do anything except for clout.
I see.
You know what I mean? And there's a difference in providing value as a professional and providing, what's the word? Entertainment, I guess. And there's a big difference. One converts and one might convert down the road, but it's a very sketchy play because you could rub people the wrong way.
Speaking of social media, seen the Meta blocked news in Canada now?
Oh
I see
shit!
that.
Yeah. What do you think's next for that?
Fuck, we're gonna become China, bro.
Yeah,
That's
thought we were already there.
That's what's next to Canada.
I thought we were already there.
Nah, I think there's still a different level
yeah.
that our Uncle Trudeau hasn't touched yet. You know what's funny, bro? We work with one of his. There's a girl. If there's one of our customers that's actually related to him, and she's like, "Well, my family doesn't like him." I'm like, "Y'all the same family, man." Yeah, she's Montreal. Yeah. I laughed.
yeah?
I'm like, "Your last name is Trudeau. Is that?" She's like, "Don't ask." I'm like, "Okay, I got it."
Oh, it's her?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's funny. She's fresh. Doesn't speak proper English. But I'm like, "Are you guys like?" She's like, "Well, far from the family."
Yeah.
So
Big Daddy T.
Big Daddy T.
That's what we call him.
Love that.
I don't see Trudeau banning real estate on social media.
No,
anytime,
you can't. You
like
can't.
that.
But
mean, it's-
I did
but you
wanna say something about social media, and I forgot. You made me forget. I had a really
probably
good question
asked
for
it,
him,
right?
like a solid,
Ask
like a 10
ChatGPT,
out of
bro.
10. Let me ask.
10 most famous realtor questions with social media.
No, it wasn't even like that. But you talked about there's no good market, there's no market, there's just your
Yes.
effort.
Yeah.
It's in our game too.
And in
Yes.
like 1,000%.
So we deal in the financial markets.
Yeah,
we're
course.
we're in the investment
Yeah.
space. But like, do you think good times create bad realtors?
Oh yes, 100%.
Because I've seen some markets where realtors are not even doing nothing, and
So-
they have a flow of leads coming. Like, it makes them softer, in my opinion. It makes them softer.
I agree. And so there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of good markets. But what are you learning? What are you implementing? And what are you maintaining as it transitions or adapting to?
Yeah.
So there's one word that best describes a leader, especially in my opinion. You know what it is? Want to know what it is?
Sure.
Anticipation. So Patrick Bett's book, Your Next 5 Moves. And the word anticipation is that, again, I understand that I'm not ignorant to the fact that we got lucky in COVID.
Yeah.
But I was also not ignorant to the fact that it's going to come back to us on the other side.
Of course.
You know, every action has an opposite reaction. And so the thing that I knew is that, okay, so as things start exploding, realtors are in your face, sold over asking, over asking.
Yeah, I see
100
that
million
so
offers, right? I knew exactly what that was going to do. It was going to burn out the marketplace. And the marketplace, we're going to be like, fuck these guys. And you're going to see ads, and nobody's going to click on your ads because I don't want to fucking talk to these losers. I knew that was going to happen. So we pulled our budget on our lead generation online, and we started moving it into local community engagement projects like charities, belly to belly, networking sessions, just trying to sponsor every event we could, going to seminars, getting a booth at the home show.
Yeah.
We wanted to spend more time in the community. We did a huge brokerage garbage day pickup. We're all wearing orange shirts. Like we knew that that was coming. And we had our best year ever last year. Well, everybody else was suffering. Everybody else, all those realtors that got complacent, and then now it's transitioning into shitty listing agents.
Yeah.
Where like they're letting their sellers control the narrative that their property is worth $2 million when it's only worth 1.3, 1.5. And when that happens and you have so many of them, those listings don't sell. What it does is it deters people from looking in your area, or it just says, hey, look, there's a smart realtor that notices that this days on market is just insane. He's got a client on the same street. He's going to list that on $9.99 and he's going to sell it for $1.1. I'm not suggesting to ever list below market value because you might get $9.60. But even still, those sellers had to make a move, and they realized that group sellers over here aren't making a move, and so now they're going to undercut you huge because they have to make a move. So what your decision to list your house higher not only affects the realtor's reputation, but the house's reputation and the neighborhoods as well. So we want to be very, very careful with that and be as honest as possible. But the problem is, to your point, is that people and sellers still think, and realtors still think, that the property sells itself and not the market. So the realtor, even though they're like, well, I was kind of thinking it was like 1.4 maybe. They're not even saying that. That's in their fucking head. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. I'll pay for your staging and I'll pay this. Oh, now I'm broke and I have to go get a second job. If you didn't have a second job already, maybe now you're going to need to get a third job.
So how many of the 90,000 realtors do you think have a second job?
Oh, probably 80 to 90%.
Wow.
I would say.
So about 10% or 10 to 20% are full-time.
10%, and these are not authentic stats. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And I believe that 10% of the realtors in Ontario are doing 90% of the business. That is most likely a fact.
Probably a fact.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
And that's in many industries too. It's
Yeah.
not just real estate. It's 90%,
Exactly.
10% of the people doing 90% of the
But
volume.
what people don't understand is that, unlike, well, actually, that's not true. Like an electrician or a plumber, they can do continued education to learn new things. Realtors are the same, right? But in people's minds, they don't necessarily know that the plumber is going to continuously, improve his education on his trade. They just say, hey, this guy's coming over and he's going to tweak some pipes, and my toilet's going to be fixed. I get my shower back. And they think the same as realtors. It's like, okay, yeah, they just come in, they put the sale sign in the ground, they put the photos, and they go, trying to make sure that they're not standing in the mirror, have their thumb over the lens, and, we're on the MLS and we're going to sell. And that's not how it goes. A realtor, in my opinion, in my good opinion, is that we're business people, and everybody runs their business different. And we invest it's a little bit different than a plumber and electrician in the sense that we invest more money than each other or less money than each other into their own business to either market, grow, invest, provide higher level of service or a higher level of marketing.
Wow.
And people don't understand that.
Talking about investing in your own business. As a realtor, you're coming up. Let's just say you're coming out. You just got your license. You have $0.
Yeah.
What do you recommend to a new coming realtor in terms of a budget for marketing, branding? What's their first steps and how far into debt should they go before they can expect or anticipate, let's say, some return?
Yeah.
If
you're a brand new realtor and you're getting into the real estate and you don't have any money, that's your first problem.
Right.
Like there should be a contingency fund for your expenses.
I see.
So that's step number one. Like if you don't even have that type of accolade, you're not gonna make it in this business at all. So don't come into the industry with $0. But if you must, I don't suggest going into debt because climbing out of that hole is something that not everybody can do. There's demons in that hole. Those demons are going to make sure that you don't get out. I did it and it was intense. What I did is when I first, and I'll go back to your point, I'll digress a little bit. What I did is before I even had my first sale, I bought a house. I had a little down payment. The prices was only $460 at the time, right?
Yeah.
Little farm in Niagara on the Lake. I bought it with no commission sales, no prospects, just with the conviction that if I got myself a closing date, I was going to work my ass off for that down payment. Because I had nothing. I had enough for the deposit that you give. It was $2,500.
Yeah.
So that scared the shit out of me, but it also pushed me to get the shit done. And if I didn't, I was going to be sued. So I don't recommend people to do that because during that time, it was a very scary time. I'm like, I was like, I'm a weird guy though. Like my risk tolerance is very high.
Yeah.
And I'm like excited. I'm anxious. I'm crying.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is fucking awesome. This is terrible. But it helped me. But I highly do not recommend that. Now back to your point. So what do you do as a brand new realtor? So what I would do is that, look, you're in a town where, especially in an industry where there's super agents, super teams. Where are we now? In Etobicoke, Frank Leo. Okay. So Frank Leo spends, and this is true because I hear his commercials and I know him, multi-million dollars a year on marketing. So how the hell are you going to compete with that? Rob Golfi in Hamilton, same. This guy's got like $100,000 to $200,000 a month in billboard ads.
Wow.
Not including all his other marketing. So how do you do that? So if you try to door knock or you try to build a marketing campaign locally, people are going to not trust you at all. They're like, I don't know who you are. You just started. You say that you're a neighborhood expert because that's what all marketing or all realtors do. And, I don't see any of your signs. I see Frank Leo's. I see Rob Golfi's. I'm calling them. So you're already losing if you're starting to invest money into the marketing in your local town. So what you do is you invest money advertising outside of your market. They don't know you, but they also don't know, well, they know Frank, he's everywhere. But they don't know Rob, they don't know this guy or that guy. So what they do is you build connections not only with the buyers and sellers outside your town, but you also build networks with your realtors. So that's how I started. In my first year, I had, I think, 40% agent to agent referrals.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're talking about anticipation. I wanted to ask you.
Yep.
You saw this coming when you saw in 2020 everyone's buying and the surplus of cash and the homes getting inflated and the interest rates were 2% at 1.1.95.
Yeah, I saw people getting it at 1.75.
Did you anticipate what was going to happen 3 years down the line? And did you have that talk with your team? Say, look, times are good right now, but it's not going to always be this easy.
Oh, we had that talk all the time.
In the financial markets, like we know, like when it comes to, let's say, cryptocurrency cycles, every 4 years you get an all-time high.
Yeah.
You get a 10x in Bitcoin, but then what happens is 80% retracement. I know it doesn't happen in real estate, 80%, but you've got times where people get squeezed out, and you weed out the bad realtors. Let's say the people that are there just for for the fun. But do you have that talk with your team, saying, look, this is what I expect in the next year, and this is how we should adjust and all that?
Yeah. So it's we do the daily check-ins, as I mentioned, weekly one-on-ones, and then we do our business plans every November. So those November business strategy sessions are usually encapsulating everything that we learned from the past year and what our projections or anticipation of next year. Now, having said that, it's an ongoing. Like every email that I send in the morning, it's usually, a few times a week where I'm noticing, okay, there's more sales this week than there are listings. There's way more listings than there are sales. And so that's a continuous conversation. And they know, they know, they're all of the same mindset that this needs to happen and this needs to be adjusted.
Speaking of the future, I know everybody asks you this on every podcast.
Yeah.
What do you see in terms of the future? Let's say, I know you're based out of the Niagara region.
Yeah.
What do you see in terms of the near future for GTA real estate, for Niagara real estate? And maybe give us some undervalued areas locally and maybe undervalued areas that you see abroad internationally.
So the thing about investing outside, and here's the, back to your point where, every realtor who is advising their clients to go hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking, the majority of them weren't local agents. They were all agents from Toronto coming down and bidding for their, and this is not to say that Toronto agents are bad outside of the city. I'm just saying when you're a part-time agent and you don't really know how to do your proper research, you just paid $1 million for a home that's only worth $6 million. So what they don't realize is the hubs, there's always a hub. So St. Catharines a hub. Guelph is the hub for Kitchener-Waterloo. Barrie's the hub for Aurelia, Oro, Midland. Ajax is a hub for Whitby, Oshawa. So that's a bad example because those are still really strong markets. But let's just use St. Catharines, for example. St. Catharines, a Toronto realtor comes in and says, okay, a house in St. Catharines just sold for $1 million. Okay, great. Now they're looking in Welland and Port Colborne and Fort Erie. They're like, well, it's basically St. Catharines. So let's do the same thing. Now this house in St. Catharines dropped to 8. This one in Port Colborne dropped to 6. Because they don't realize that these outlying towns, they can't support the level of, I don't want to say amenities, but the level of lifestyle that Toronto people are used to.
Yeah.
So how many people bought here and then sold and went back? Which is huge. So using a local realtor to discern all of that local information is super, super crucial. I'm not saying a GTA realtor couldn't. I'm sure they could, but you might want to team up with a local realtor to really understand.
The market. I love that.
And sorry, what are undervalued towns? Well, Port Colborne, Wayne, Fleet, Fort Erie. Those are really undervalued right now because they dropped so far down. So their time is going to come again. But I mean, really, it's just you need more infrastructure there first, and it is coming. A brand new hospital is coming just south of Niagara Falls in close to Welland, Chippewa area. So that's going to bring a few thousand jobs. Going to bring a few thousand houses, and so that's a good area.
You see interest rates coming back down the next 12 months?
No. Next 12 months, they're going to go up once or twice more. And they're going to hold. So we're going to see like an apex of the highest interest rates come January to March. Let's just say that. Or maybe even a little later. And then they might drop a few points, by 2025. Maybe.
Because we were speaking briefly before this. I have pre-construction that's supposed to close next year, but I'm not burning it down. Hopefully, right? So, again, we sign on it when I signed on it back in 2020. I think interest at that point was 2.5%, right? So that takes a mortgage from payment from a couple grand to skyrocketing, right? So it's interesting that
but I think a lot of people don't understand the interest thing, bro.
People don't understand interest rate, but a 2% mortgage and a 6% mortgage can take a $2,000 payment to like a.
What's the number right now?
6%.
What, the 6%?
Yeah.
Is that around 6%?
It's around 6%, basically, if you're to average.
So how much more money for somebody that was taking now? So when you got it, do you have it fixed? So is it always going to be 2.5, or is it going to change based on what's happening in the market?
In pre-construction, you get the mortgage when you close on the property. Okay. So I was just paying deposits.
Okay.
And then basically the remainder of that value of the home, I have to
whenever
either pay it or mortgage it. If I can't pay it up front, I have to get a mortgage for it.
With any luck, by the time you close or your project gets delayed, a lot of people are delaying it a little bit. I don't know if there's funny business going on or what. But we know a lot of people that aren't even launching projects. But that's a smart move.
Yeah. So my point. So right now, let's not talk about pre-construction. Let's talk about somebody buying a house.
Yeah.
Right. They bought the house a couple of years ago at 2.5%. Right now, it's at 6%.
Yeah.
How much of a difference is that payment?
It's a really good question because those are almost exactly my numbers. So I had a mortgage that I got in 2020, just under $1 million, 994. Well, it's about $1 million. We didn't pay off too much, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's not too much. You pay off in 2 years.
Yeah.
Now my interest rate is 6.6. So I was paying $3,500 a month. Now I'm paying around $7,000 a month, and I have to commit to that for 2 years because I wasn't going to do one, and I definitely wasn't going to do three. So two made the most sense. One of the most expensive ones, but that typically means that's when the changes are going to happen because they don't want you to choose that one. They want you to lock in. So, anyways, that was a difference, of what? $3,500.
More than double.
That is going to interest. Has nothing to do with the house.
Interest only, and that's so basically I'm only paying about $1,100 of principal off every month, and so you're paying $6,800 in interest.
Jesus, bro.
So
That's how
Don't you think that's crazy?
I think that's crazy. I think that's why. Look, sometimes you win the argument with renting, because I know you rent a lot here and you own abroad.
Yeah, but
and I like.
But here's the thing.
I bought here, and I think there's really no right answer when it comes to renting and buying. I think it really comes down to personal circumstances and all that. But you want to give the viewers what your take is on renting versus buying, because you'll see some guru talk why one is better than the other. But again, my personal opinion is it depends. Yeah, and you let me know.
So if you're talking about the average person who's living in a town and that's where they're going to live, they're not like traveling the world. They're not, international speakers. They're not doing. I would 100% buy, especially right now. Fucking buy while it's down. Why not?
Yeah.
Date the rate and marry the house. I know, it sounds stupid and everybody says it, but every realtor on TikTok was
I've
fucking
never
saying
heard this before. I like it.
Oh my God, it was a thing, man. And everybody was like, don't say that everybody's saying it. It's like a TikTok trend thing, right?
Okay.
And I'm like, but it is true. Because when this, so there's one thing that doesn't change, and that's the house. That's the asset. You've got the rate that does change. So when that rate goes back down, okay, it's like in COVID, that went up 50, 60, in some areas 100%. So what the fuck?
Talk about the house.
Like, yeah. So
House value,
you can't calculate anything that's happened in the last 2 years to be any type of appreciation. Some people lucked out. But now where I'm going with this is that now that house, that COVID was $1 million, now it's 8, you're 6%. Now that 6% is going to go down. It's excluded so many people from the market over the past 2 years, last year, this year, and then another year, so maybe 3 years of buyer pent-up energy. How many people, I'm waiting for the market crash or the rates to go down.
Yeah.
Okay, so now when these people are ready, because the interest rates went down to 3 or 4%, they're like, okay, let's all jump back in. So now you have an unhealthy demand, which is going to skyrocket the prices. That's why if anybody needs to sell, you're going to go bankrupt. Okay, sell, but you're going to lose your shirt. Or maybe you've owned it for more than 3 years and you'll make some money. Yeah. But if you can afford to keep it, fucking keep it. Because by the time I have an apartment building in Muskoka, and I was looking at the appraisal value. I'm like, holy shit! I think maybe I should do something with this. Maybe sell it. Then I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Why? By the time of these buyers come back, that property is going to be worth $500, $1 million more because of the cash flow. Now, but your average house, that's going to go up substantially.
Okay, I see.
Right? So are you going to be pissed off about, going up a few points on your interest rate? Or you're going to be more pissed off when you've lost $400,000 in equity because now that house is way out of your price range.
That makes sense.
So does that justify, say, the long-term game in real estate here in the GTA? I know, like we were talking about ROI. ROI in Canada may be not as impressive as other places. I know there's places in the Middle East now, Dubai is skyrocketing, but I think we may, you correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had that.
But same thing. I think market is the market, bro.
In the GTA, we had the big pump. I would say maybe in the past decade. Yeah. But I think supply and demand. I think we keep printing cash. I think the value of assets are just going to keep going up long term. You may have your let's say little bumps along the road.
Yeah.
But I think 10 years from now, I think the value of every home in the GTA is still going to go up.
Absolutely.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Like
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is that, I mean, it does have to be partnered with, with people's income to some degree. I mean, unless you're really going to divide the classes, which most people
Isn't
think
that the
is
goal?
actually happening,
I
right?
mean-
So a lot of people are thinking, hey, we're trying to get rid of the middle class, and that's what's going on. Because at the end of the day, the only people who can actually afford the properties, because if those houses continue to go up, especially within 10 years, the income's not going to go up that much either. So it's an interesting concept. And, there's so many other places. Like I got a good friend who's selling in Dubai right now, and she's helping Canadians buy there. I also have good friends here, Spark Financial, like I said, who's helping people buy in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, Fort Lauderdale. Okay.
Yeah, and those rates are 8%.
8%.
8%, but your return on investment's like 10x. Like wild.
Yeah.
Because, in Canada, there's just, for one, the sales tax. Like there was a brand new project. I said, they're like, this is $499. I'm like, wow, for a townhouse, nice. Plus HST. And he's like, what's HST? I'm like, it's like a tax on things that you buy. It's a sales tax. He's like, we don't have that here.
Yeah.
And in some places, they don't even have fucking income tax.
Yeah.
And look, I'm all for tax and paying your fair share. But if I wasn't incorporated, my tax bracket would be 53%.
Yeah.
And even now, with my corporation, I'm 12.5% plus 13% HST. And that's I still have to pay myself.
Yeah.
And so I'm still at a 30 to 50% tax bracket on my personal income. And it's just ridiculous. And then when I go and buy that property and I want to sell it and I want to buy another property with the proceeds, I have to pay capital gains. In the States, you don't have to do that. As long as you're putting that money back into another real estate deal, then you don't have to pay the tax on it. Why the fuck do I have to pay tax on it? I just,
I took money from a place in the country to put it in another place. And
but it's you own it. Like who? It's like, okay, buddy, I'm gonna buy your headphones off you. Now I got to give the government taxes. Like they do that with cars now. You know that.
Huh.
If you're buying a
used car from someone, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
You got to report it.
So they're doing everything digital now. You can't. They're trying to eliminate cash so that they can track everything. They can see. Because if I give you $20 cash and you give him $20 cash, the government's not involved. If I pay you something with a credit card, boom, couple percent goes to the government. You pay him $20 on the credit card, couple percent goes to the government, and the big Ponzi scheme of the Canadian government. So.
Yeah, it's like I said, but then everybody's like healthcare. Oh. Great. No, I was on a podcast in the States. They're like, so what do Canadians really think of Americans? I'm like, I'll tell you. Growing up, I thought you guys were a bunch of assholes. Like I didn't understand.
I think I would still think that.
I was still, but I thought they were cocky.
Yeah.
Because in Canada, if you wore like a Canadian flag shirt or a hat, you're like. It was kind of like, what's a novelty? Like, you're like, why is it? Okay, is it Canada Day? Like, nobody just walks around with a Canada hat. And you go in the States and everybody's wearing a flag of some kind. And you're like, okay, so that's patriotism.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's what I think. And then he's like, okay, so what do you think of, you guys must be loving it up there, making fun of us for no health care. I'm like, dude, if you're in the States, can you pay a shit ton of money and whether you need it finance or whatever, and you go, they fix you, you're alive? He's like, yeah, if you got cancer, you go here. If you need an MRI, you get it back, before you're in the waiting room, before you leave.
Absolutely.
In Canada, that fucking MRI can take 6 months. Right. In Canada, so again, okay, we have free health care, but I have cancer and I can't get in because I don't have my vaccine, and then I die. Or I can't get in because the system is completely broken. And then now you die. A good friend of mine just went through this.
Wow.
Thank God she's still alive. But she's like, Andrew, my condition is worsening and worsening. And then I said, did you look out to go into the States? She's like, yeah. She's like, $200K for this treatment. I'm like, are you going to do it? She's like, we're trying to find it right now. So I understand in a perfect world, free healthcare would be amazing. But what are we paying into? I don't know.
Yeah.
No,
I don't remember the last time I went to the hospital.
Me neither.
Not in Canada, at least.
I think you went
in the
time.
Middle East.
Remember we went to Service Ontario, and I know it's not healthcare, but he saw the line one time, and we just
Yeah,
went back
fuck
home.
that.
We're like,
I ain't let me stand and waste 12 hours of my day to talk to somebody. No, brother, it's okay.
Yeah.
I
They're
will-
gonna
I
tell
will-
him that he doesn't even have what he needs anyway.
I will just, it's okay. I will drive with an expired. I would rather pay the fee of an expired license
Yes,
rather
exactly.
than,
It's
than
true.
wait in line.
It's true.
What's like that's yeah, no, I'm not playing that game. Yeah, we look, like there's a misconception, like speaking of Canada, there's a lot, like when people in the Middle East see, oh, he's Canadian, oh, he goes, they think this like is such a like I own a restaurant, right? And a lot of our employees, they're fresh from back home, right? So because they understand the culture, they understand how to serve people. A lot of people just come there,
Of course.
and Middle Eastern people. So they speak the language, they know how to serve, the whole thing. But then, bro, I've heard this so many times the past like 2 weeks. He's like, bro, this is not what they told me when I was back home. Like, and these are employees, right? And there's a limit to what I can pay them. These are minimum wage workers, right? Like, we would try to, to give them the best that we can. But it's just like you're sitting there as a business owner, and you're like, well, they sold you the wrong whatever dream they sold you there. It doesn't exist here. And then you're dealing with the cold, and then you're dealing with taxes and all these things that we're not used to back home. So you come here, it's like, this is not this. I've seen so many people in the past 2 years, bro, leave.
Yeah.
Just like, you know what, bro? Like I there's some people that are so close to getting the passport or PR. Like, you know what, bro? I don't even want to get it. There's no point.
Yeah.
There's no point of me staying here for another 4 years for me to get a passport. Like, because, Middle Eastern countries, they don't have the best passports. But recently I discovered neither does Canada. We're not even like top 10
Yeah.
in the world, right?
in the world.
Yeah.
I was like shocked. I thought we were like Canadian passports to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Recently I heard I have to get a visa to go to Iraq, bro. I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah, I just think that it's the fact that we're just kind of looking stupid on the world stage. It's kind of what it comes down to, man.
I do agree, and I think America has grown more on me the past 2 years. Like, more and more, I started liking the idea of maybe, you know what, one day Fort Lauderdale would be a really nice, Eastern time zone. I love the Eastern time zone. Like, this is the only reason I don't live in Dubai.
Yeah.
This is the one reason. Like, there's nothing I can leave tonight, and I'll live there happily ever after.
Yeah.
No personal tax. I think 9% corporate. It's nothing, right?
Yeah.
But the time zone, man,
Yeah.
it's just, I can't.
I mean,
can't
Fort
do that.
Lauderdale, man, the weather,
Beautiful
the time
weather.
zone, the experiences,
Yeah,
like
the experiences for sure.
opportunity, like it's
And honestly, everybody's so nice in the southern states. Like
Yeah.
I drove through New York. Like, we used to drive to Florida, drive to. Actually,
Wait, drive from here?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with my grandparents, and my granddad was a fighter pilot in the war, World War II, and then he went to Air Canada after the war, but he couldn't fly anymore, so we would drive. Anyways, but the people that we'd meet, mind you, my Uber driver did steal $800 from me in South Carolina. But anyways, times are tough out there, man. But when I went to Florida, it was just nothing but love. And the service was like, here's your shit. How else can I help you?
Yeah.
Sometimes in like, I own a restaurant too, in a pub. And it's like, sometimes you're like, where the fuck is the waiter?
Yeah.
What are they doing? Like, in the States, they're worried so much about losing their job. And in Canada, they're like, well, if I lose my job, whatever, I'll sit at home and collect EI for a bit. Why not?
yeah, I noticed that.
That's so true.
Yeah, I'm not saying all the servers are like that. We have tons of
No, of
restaurants
course,
that
of
are
course.
amazing.
But I know what you're talking about.
It's just, it's more noticeable.
Well, here, it's a good point. But here, people are relying more on the government,
I agree.
and they're less. There's
But
less
hence
of a
why the government
capitalist-
controls them, bro.
There's less of a capitalist, performance-based workforce
Yeah,
here.
yeah. As I
'Cause
said-
in the States, people want to. They're earning
People want
more dollars.
Bro,
for
there's
what they're
almost
saying.
400 million people in the States.
Yeah.
There's 40. What? We're not even. 40
I don't
million
even
in
think we're 40 million.
Yeah, we're not even 40 million. I mean, we're in America. It's not even. Like, it's not 400 million. 400 million.
375
people,
or
yeah, it's
something
like
like
three. But it's like we're talking 10x, bro.
I think here people feel more safe with being saved by the government.
But
so they
safe,
feel like
yeah,
they
for
don't have
sure.
to work
In
as
America,
hard.
it's just
It's
to
more
each their
cutthroat.
own.
It's more
To each
cutthroat.
their own.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. They need to pay for.
To each
they need
their own.
Yeah,
They gotta do
exactly.
stuff.
They need
This
a
is why
surgery.
they're
They're paying
ruthless,
out of their
man.
pocket. You know what I mean? Like it's
At,
ruthless.
at the end of the day, I feel safe here. I feel comfortable. But there's a piece of me that just wants more, and it
Yeah,
feels like
for sure.
to get there, you're giving up so much.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's a great place to raise your family, and
It is. It is.
it's Canada made me what I am.
Yeah. And right now you live in Niagara region.
Yeah,
still?
Niagara on the Lake. Yeah,
Niagara on the Lake,
yeah.
nice.
Grew up in Innisfil,
Yeah.
Ontario, Barrie.
Innisfil,
Yeah.
So what are your plans then for the next year, maybe next 5 years?
So-
Short term, long term?
The next year for sure, we'll have one more location opened up for sure. We're working on that right now. And then, in the next 5 years, we hope to have probably 100 agents by then, if not more,
Love that.
and a few more locations. And then 10-year is 5-year, definitely national, but I think 5-year will even be international by then.
Yeah.
And
International
then
would
10-year,
be so nice.
10-year will be a household name.
Love that.
That's big. So scaling that, are there going to be more Andrew Perrys then, or what's going to happen? Like, are you going to clone yourself, or what?
Yeah, we're gonna have to. And the coolest thing is, I mean, I don't know how cool it is in 2023. It's just kind of the norm. But the Andrew Perrys that have just naturally been recreated, and obviously they have their own personality. It's all women.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now I have guys on my team. I think there's 2 or 3. But for the most part, it's all women.
This woman.
Director of Operations, Andrea Lombardo, she's amazing, and my VP of Sales, Crystal Simons, she's amazing, and they basically have control of the whole team. And so as we grow, our next, I can't really say who or what. I actually don't want to even risk it, but our next director for the next region is also a woman. When you're trying to have somebody take control and organize an entire company, I don't think anybody can do it better than women, in my
I'm
opinion.
hearing that a lot. Like a lot of C-suite, executives are
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so have you guys read the book Rocket Fuel?
No.
No? Okay. So Rocket Fuel is the idea of you need 2 people. You really need 2 people. You need an innovator, somebody, CEO's type, who says, this is what we need to do, go do it. And then you need
Steve Jobs.
and then you need an implementer,
Right.
who is actually going and doing it.
Gotcha.
And if you don't, and that's what that whole book is about. If you don't have that, it's very, very hard to grow. And the problem with most realtors, especially realtors, is they have this ego that only their clients want to work with them. Bullshit. As soon as I started introducing Crystal to all my clients, they loved her way more than me. Didn't even want to talk to me. It's just true. And so without taking the ego aside, I wouldn't have been able to grow exponentially.
Yeah. See, I'm a big fan for that. Like, I know in Canada we have a lot of quotas that companies need to meet, a certain percentage of women, certain percentage of men. But I think
Is that true?
Oh, is it? I don't know that.
for some corporations, I remember
bigger
corporations. I worked in an engineering firm, and they had quotas.
Did they have to even black and white?
And they had quotas for they wouldn't tell us, but I could tell they were trying to meet some quotas. Yes.
Okay.
For
I need
ethnicities.
2 Asians. I need 2 Arabs, and I like that.
And at
I
the
like
same
that.
time, I'm like, different people are good for different things. Performance are based for different things. Like you're saying, like some women are more organized than some men.
Absolutely.
And they're better at some jobs than others. But why are we trying to force people in positions that they may not be able to perform in properly?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's
So,
right.
I mean, that's to me. I got one last question for you. In the
Sure.
last 7 years, because I've been thinking about this. I'm in my 20s. I got a lot of friends that can't afford to buy a house now.
Yeah.
And they're like, how the hell did my parents do this? How the hell did you do this? And you're 36 and this guy's 43. What are your, like, it's such an open-ended question. What would you tell somebody that's trying to get into the market and they live in the GTA and they don't want to move to, Thunder Bay? You know what I mean? But what do you tell someone that's just trying to get in?
The only thing you can do if you're looking to get in right now or in the next 5 years is, for number one, get in now, because that's just going to get worse.
It's just going to get worse. Yeah.
But just team up with your friends. Like people used to buy cottages with their family or best buddies. Why not buy your house? And then when you're ready to move on, you just split the equity and buy something else.
That's smart.
Yeah, team up.
That's smart.
A lot of people are doing that. Yeah. I've had a lot of, it's the first time that I've, the last 3 years been seeing like brothers and sisters buy houses together.
Yeah.
So not wife.
Well, no, I don't know. Wives, husband and wives. I assume they're buying houses together.
But are you married?
So technically we're not married, no. But my partner and I call her my wife.
Yeah.
Been together 9 years.
Wow.
Next week.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yep,
man.
3 kids, 3 boys under 7.
3 boys under 7.
Yeah,
That's what's
they're
up.
friggin'
How old are
wild.
you?
36.
You're 36.
Yeah.
I gotta stop pumping soon, bro.
I
So
gotta
you,
get
you
it
start
all.
pumping at 29.
Yeah, basically.
much,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I'm just by the time I'm 50, with any luck, they're out of the house. I mean that with all the love in my heart. They're just wild kids, man. They're just boys, which is great.
As long as a house doesn't cost $40 million by the time they're 18.
Well, yeah, the rate we're going, holy smokes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love this episode.
Yeah,
bro. I learned a lot.
That was awesome.
I learned a lot. I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah,
This was
thanks for
awesome.
having me on.
This
I
was
appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
awesome. Vlad, thank you for hosting.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys.
Anytime.
We'll see you guys on the next one, guys. Like, subscribe, do your thing, drop your comments. Let us know what you thought. You haven't had a realtor on here in a long time, and it's definitely been a pleasure. So we enjoy it, and I'm sure you guys did too. Thank you.
Yeah. Y'all take care. Peace.
Peace.